you are about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed.
Good morning!
I had fun with my dad, got my toy stocked, my green one is coming, and now my toy one green is broken.
Oh. You have pretty yucky yogurt hands. Okay then. If you or anyone you know in the state of Colorado needs treats, please visit my website and place an order today. It would help me so much. And please support your small businesses. We are gonna go swimming today. I'm very excited. I placed a drive-up order at Target to go pick up some swim pull-ups for him and just go straight to the rec center from there. I am hoping I get some more orders in. As always, I've been receiving a lot of inquiries for like larger events. I received one for a 1.5 years out. So please, if you are getting married, you're expecting a child, you're having like large events and parties for that, please let me know as soon as possible because someone is already scheduling for July of 2025. I recommend you get in before I don't have any room for you. Okay, I'll stop talking. I'm caffeinated, if you can't tell. Storm, can you share with me what you're most excited for at the pool? What are you most looking forward to? No, we're not gonna have floaties, that's right. Wait, did I bring? Oh, great. I forgot stuff. Hang on. I'm excited. We're headed to Target because the last time I took him swimming, he was only like 1 year old. So I only had baby swim undies. I used to take him swimming between when he was 1 year and 2 years old. And he loved it because, you know, they had like a play area. It was like a rec center at the old town I used to live in. And then I tried to take him last summer after he turned 2, just to like a regular pool at like my ex-boyfriend's apartment complex and then like at my sister's apartment complex. And because there was like nothing to play in and it was just like a body of water, he refused to go in it. So I'm hoping that he's gonna want to play in it. The county finally called me regarding assistance with childcare. I finally spoke to an actual person. Nothing has really changed based on what I've told you guys. Like I still have him until like most likely September, hopefully summer, because the school he's enrolled in hopefully has openings in the summer, but their enrollment does not start for that for the next few weeks. Nothing too much has changed. Like he's still gonna go there, but I got some more answers for her. As you guys know, I'm self-employed. So like the way you have to apply for certain things when you're self-employed is completely different. She had a ton of questions about that. I cleared everything up there. So everything is good. Everything's fine. Happy I spoke to her. We're good. Right now I'm making the garlic, shiitake, green beans, and the fettuccine alfredo from Trader Joe's. Storm is gonna have some mac and cheese from Trader Joe's, and I'm just gonna put the rest of the groceries away. Here's Storm's dinner. I'm gonna try to give him some of the green beans. He probably won't eat them, but it's good to put them on the plate. As you can see from a lot of the stuff I eat, I do make it healthy, but I add breaded chicken rather than grilled chicken most of the time because I also want my food to be enjoyable. I have had a lot of ups and downs with like making sure I'm eating nutritious food, keeping my weight down. I had a struggle losing the baby weight postpartum. I just try to make the foods that I make fun and still enjoyable and then fit in the greens and everything. You probably also notice that I do get a lot of like frozen pre-made food, and that is just what works best for Storm and I don't like cooking. Like it's not something I enjoy. So I do find it quite difficult for myself to commit to like cooking recipes all the way from scratch. So I don't do that all the time. And if that means getting some frozen stuff, then so be it. I do go to Trader Joe's, so I know that their stuff isn't terrible. Obviously, I just do what I think is best for my family. That works for us. We still get our veggies in, we still get fresh fruits in, and I still get to eat carbs. And I mean, I haven't gained the weight back, so clearly it's working. I'm so ready to eat right now. I kind of added the chicken late because I forgot that I had it. It's always so hard to plate noodles. Help. Oh, this is why I hate cooking. I have valid reasons behind why I dislike cooking, and it's because my ex-husband was very emotionally abusive when it came to my cooking. I'm genuinely traumatized, and I hate cooking because of it, unfortunately. Wait, is this cold or hot? Oh, did that move? A ghost? I'm happy to have a microwave, but it definitely cooks food unevenly. Here is my dinner. Also, it's so bizarre that the sun is out and it's dinner time, like hello.
Surfing, seashells, sailing, sun. Happy beach day, so much fun. I love hopping, jumping. I like eating the sweet mountain grass. Tomorrow, don't you? Good night, little Laura. It has been brought to my attention from the masses that you guys are interested in this story about why I got a divorce, potentially like how I was ever even married. And I just thought I would give a quick rundown. In 2019, I was living with this girl that I had like an insane crush on, and we would kind of like get it on and get together or whatever. And she kind of had like a lot of complicated relationships. She ended up being like really codependent. This is no hate to her. This is just our story. I realized living with her, since our house was the party house, I was actually much more introverted than I had initially thought. And we were having parties all the time, people over all the time. It was getting like way too overstimulating for me. I felt like I never had my own space. People would like unlock my bedroom door and come in there to like hang out with me. And literally that was like my only escape. So I hadn't been in a relationship in like 3 years. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna like get on Tinder, get on Hinge, find someone, because I kind of don't want to be home if everyone's gonna be here all the time. It would be nice to have a boyfriend who like had a, like an apartment or their own house or whatever. That's my thought process, but I wasn't like intending on anything serious. If you can't tell already, clearly I was drinking a lot, partying a lot, partaking in not very family friendly behaviors. And that led to my medication not working. I'm on a mood stabilizer. And if you drink too often on those, the meds do not work. So you can have like episodes, even though you're medicated, because technically you're unmedicated because it cancels that shit out, if that makes sense. Since I had been doing that, in retrospect, I was definitely in like a hypomanic state when I made the next few decisions that I'm going to be telling you guys about. So, just to preface, I was definitely not in the right state of mind. January 30th, 2020, I decided to go on a date with one of the guys I matched with. It was really interesting because I kept opening Hinge and I would see his picture and then I would be like, nah. And I wouldn't swipe yes or no. I would close out the app. And this happened like several times, over 4 or 5 times. I would look at his picture and be like, nah, because I had like this weird feeling. In hindsight, I think it's because I was supposed to have my son and like this is the man that was going to give me a baby. But I'm going to be honest, I was not like immediately attracted to him. There were a lot of men and women on that app that I saw and instantly said yes to because they were hot. This guy did not necessarily stand out to me like more than the others. If not, he stood out less. And I don't know, I couldn't figure out why I had like this mental block as to why I didn't know which way to swipe on him. I ended up swiping right. We ended up setting a date up together. We went and just got coffee. There were red flags from the get-go. The man shoulder checked someone walking into the restaurant, didn't hold the door open for me, was very bad at eye contact, whatever. So not my type. I'm not sure if I have like a definitive type because all of my exes look completely different, but this guy's like 14 inches taller than me, very muscular, tall white guy. Like it just like wasn't really the type that I went for. And I don't know what it was, but like instantly we were like unhealthily codependent. Like it went from that date to like he was living in Fort Collins at the time and I would literally like get off work early and just drive all the way out there. I was wasting all my gas on this man and we started to advance our relationship really quickly. I was 19, he was 25. I felt like due to my daddy issues, that was like so much nice attention to get. Like, I think that that's kind of where my mindset was at. But then we all know what happened in 2020. I don't have to go too deep into that. March of 2020 happens. I end up having to move in with him because my roommate and I, like I said, had a crush on her. It was just became this whole thing. It was not good. It ended really badly. We had to break our lease and move out. So I ended up moving in with this guy, my son's dad. And because of that, because of quarantine, we spent every single day together, got extremely unhealthily codependent with each other. I wasn't working at the time. I had been modeling and like building up my career and like shit was about to be popping. And then COVID happened and it like brought everything down, which is why like now, 4 years later, I feel like I'm just now reviving my businesses and like starting back up from the very bottom. So that was a discouraging time. And I definitely was feeling not very good about myself. He would kind of do this thing where he would like backhand compliment me, like say, oh, like that doesn't make you look fat, like the other thing, like not specifically those words verbatim. Looking back, it like tore down my self-esteem more and more every day. And it was already not at a very good place when I met him. Wait, I'm going to back up really quickly for just like 2 seconds. We end up getting invited to Vegas. He is from a very wealthy family on his father's side. They were going to March Madness. This is like a few days before COVID became a thing. And I was like in the process of moving out of my roommate's house. We get a call from his dad's girlfriend saying like, hey, do you want to come to March Madness? You can bring your new girlfriend. I cracked a joke like, haha, what if we got married in Vegas? He was like, oh my God, we totally should. And then that became a plan. Then COVID hit like 3 days later, and obviously the trip was canceled. So I didn't think we were going to like continue on with the marriage and get married, but sure enough, he still wanted to. So long story short, now if you want me to go into more detail, I can, but like I said, I do not have like a good explanation for why I did this. I was not in a right frame of mind. You can ask him why he did this. I don't know. But to me, it's a little sus and it's a little creepy that he was 25 marrying like a 19-year-old. I had just that week like freshly turned 20. And anyway, we end up still doing it anyways. We went to the courthouse, got a marriage license. My best friend from childhood, Maggie, literally married us in like a closed down diner in her hometown in Georgetown, Colorado. And we did it really quick. And to me, it was still like kind of a joke. Like it was like a hee hee ha ha moment for me. And like I said, told no one except for her and her man, and her brother was there. And we just did it real quick. I got like a wedding dress the day before at Forever 21, and we got our rings at Zales or at K Jewelers in the same mall. It's an outlet mall. It was nothing crazy. And we just straight up like drove to Georgetown during quarantine and did that shit. Like before we even knew how bad all of this was. It was March 28th is the date that we got married. And I called my parents on FaceTime the next day and told them, and everyone was kind of like, what the hell? My birth mom was very not pleased. Ooh, it was bad. It made some of my relationships really rocky. Some of them kind of didn't change. My parents are really good people. They tried to be supportive, even though that was so chaotic and manic of me. Fast forward, Denver was becoming unsafe and really expensive. I had always wanted to move somewhere warm. So did he. He was looking at continuing on his education and getting his master's in business administration. We had a few schools that we were like narrowing it down to, and we decided Arizona was the place to go. So 7 months into our relationship / marriage, yep, that's how quick it was, we end up moving to Arizona. Now, he had been told he had fertility issues. I very closely track my cycles. The only way I can figure out that this happened is because I had moved and I most likely was very stressed out. So my ovulation was delayed because we literally did not have sex when I was ovulating. So I was very confused for 2 reasons that I ended up being pregnant within the first 2 weeks of us living in our new house in a different state. One reason being he was told he had fertility issues. Second reason being, like I said, to my knowledge, we did not have sex while I was ovulating. And I've been tracking my ovulation for 9 years. And that had never happened before. I have been pregnant one other time, but that was a different thing. We'll get into that at a different time. I end up being pregnant. His reaction was not amused, like at all. He wasn't like upset, but he is just a very avoidant personality type. And like I said, I don't want to bash him. I don't want to get too deep into that, like about his personality and stuff, because like this is not what this channel is for. I'm just kind of trying to like tell my story. But basically, COVID was happening. I was a state over from my family. I had not really his support through the pregnancy. Like he said, just like a few weeks into my pregnancy, like, is all you're going to talk about the baby? He was very standoffish, very avoidant with me. He never felt my belly, even when the baby started kicking. We ended up contracting COVID when I was 17 weeks pregnant, which was unfortunate. However, it was kind of cool because I was able then to get ultrasounds every 2 weeks throughout my pregnancy until he was born, which is way more than is typical for an average pregnancy. And it's because I was put into a case study with other pregnant women with COVID, and they wanted to make sure that the baby was growing. And thankfully he was. Everything regarding my pregnancy and stuff was fine, but I definitely was so lonely. I didn't have a job out there. I didn't have any friends out there. He definitely like isolated me and got me out there, and I was like estranged from all of my friends. Even if I wanted to make friends, I couldn't because I was high risk and it was during COVID. My family was 14 hours away. It was just awful. I was really depressed while I was pregnant. He wouldn't feel my belly. He like wouldn't plan things with me. He wasn't excited. We got into this huge fight when I was like 32 weeks pregnant, and I was going to fly home to Denver for a weekend. And honestly, I wasn't going to come back. And there ended up being like a huge snowstorm in Denver, and I had to cancel my flight. And that was on my 21st birthday. It was just like this huge fight we had. He was just shared a lot of feelings with me that like he wasn't happy about this pregnancy, and that I'm a BITCH, and that he was going to get a vasectomy right away when I had him, and that I'm just like the worst. Like, that's like funny that I spelled that out. I did that because I try not to cuss in front of Storm anymore, so I spell things, but I'm also teaching him how to read and spell, so I don't know if that's going to work for long. Just to spare you the details, because my son could like see this in the future, and his dad was a horrible partner, horrible husband, the worst support I've ever gotten from anyone. I was so lonely even when I was in a room with him, but that doesn't mean that he is like a horrible person to everybody he has relationships with, or that he's a terrible father. But it was one of the worst relationships I've ever been in. And I was just really sad because obviously we reap what we sow. These are consequences of my own actions. So I was just focusing on how excited I was to have my baby. And that time came. I had my son. I had a great labor and delivery experience. I achieved an unmedicated intervention-free birth with my son. And that's going to be a whole separate video. But postpartum was definitely the darkest time of my life. I suffered from postpartum depression, and the biggest contributor was that we brought our son home. And aside from my family who had flown out to help me, I literally had zero help from him. I think my son was 8 weeks old and his dad had only changed like 5 diapers. He wouldn't hold our son. Like it was really bad. And again, I think I'm just going to spare the details because he cares for his son now. This sounds like I'm making excuses for him, and I think I am. If he wasn't the father of my child, I think that I would say what I'm thinking. But instead of saying what I'm thinking, I'm just going to tell you guys that I think he needed a longer time period to adjust to becoming a parent. If there's anything that I could tell, like expecting parents or expecting mothers or whatever, is that like really just try to prepare yourself as much as you can for the postpartum period. It can be kind of unpredictable, but it can feel very lonely, very overwhelming. I wasn't sleeping enough, neither was he. We were in the process of buying a house, and I was just so miserable, so sleep deprived. I thought that like I was just going to drop dead any second. I shared with him that I like wanted to hurt myself. I ended up having to be hospitalized because of it. And like throughout all of this, he was still berating me, saying like, you need to get a job, like you need to be doing more. While I was literally starting a whole baking business, I was a sole care provider for a brand new baby who was not latching properly, would not breastfeed well. I was extremely sleep deprived. And at that point, it like becomes a danger, like not only to me, but it was becoming a danger to Storm because of how delirious I was becoming. I was doing all the household chores. I was doing all the laundry. I was cooking. I was cleaning. I wasn't really like allowed to heal properly from my birth. It was just like my birth was everything I wanted. And the days, weeks, and months following Storm's arrival were just the worst time in my life. It was the worst thing I could have ever experienced. I was so miserable. I literally wanted to die, and I hated being a mom. And like I said, a large contribution to this was our marriage. It was so bad, so unhealthy, so one-sided. He was so resentful, so angry, so avoidant, treated my parents terribly. And ultimately, I ended up, after we had already given the earnest money for a house that we found in Arizona, we completely canceled it because it all boiled down to this one night. Storm was crying in his bassinet. I was like, can you please just pick him up? I can't do this right now. And he refused to pick him up. And I picked up my son out of the bassinet, and I looked at his dad and I was like, I'm moving back to Colorado. And I told my dad that day, I was like, I'm moving back. We crafted a plan. 30 days later, I was like living back with my parents back in Colorado. His dad stuck to his plan, got a vasectomy, said, you're a bitch while you're pregnant, and I never want to have another baby with you again. And we kind of like parted ways. Mainly, it was the way I was treated. We were very incompatible. Maybe he wouldn't have treated me that way if our personalities matched up better. I have not been his other girlfriends, so I'm not sure how he treats his other girlfriends. He has had a few since our divorce happened. But if you had followed me like on Snapchat a few years ago during this divorce, I would like post rants on Snapchat. And it's probably because low key, I was like still not mentally well. But I do have to say, very shortly after moving back in with my parents, my mood really started to get a lot better. I started enjoying motherhood again. And up until my son's first birthday, I lived with them. I had full custody of our son. I would just like take him to see his dad. And it was great. And his dad tried to like avoid the divorce for like a year and a half. Like we would start signing the papers and then never complete them when we met up. So then we would have to start all over again because the papers can't just have like a million different dates on them. Yeah, and it was dragged out for a long time, and it was really hard. It was really emotional. I feel like I'm now finally healed from that time, but it was a lot. So that's why I got divorced. Throughout the time of like getting a divorce and filling out, all of the paperwork and things like that, my business was going well. I met a new guy who's like my most recent ex, and that started going really well. And I'm really, really grateful for him because, yes, I am like the relationship type. I'd been in a lot of previous relationships and situationships, majority of which were very toxic and unhealthy. I had thought maybe I had loved these people, and until I met like my most recent ex, I did not know like what love was. I didn't know that I could love somebody that way. I was definitely in love with him, and even though that had to end, which that's really shitty, he brought me so much happiness following such a dark time in my life. I'll forever be grateful for him for that because, yeah, it was a really dark time. And like, even though it took us a long time, my most recent ex and I, to like get serious and everything, it was like, it just was so simple in the beginning. And we would just like hang out and watch movies and just like sit on his floor. And he would like listen to me and really like hear what I had to say. And my son's dad wouldn't do that for me. So I think that it worked out that way so that I could be shown that, you know, someone could love me and actually treat me well, and that I can love other people. The divorce and everything like wasn't the end all be all. Like, there are going to be more opportunities out there for me. And I think LJ showed me that. He showed me he really loved me. And I think that our relationship really healed a part of my heart. And it's a shame that it couldn't continue. But, you know, like anyone, like we had our own issues. And that is that. But he even stuck through me like while I was getting a divorce. Like, that's just so crazy to me. Like, he is a better person than I am in that way. I didn't know I was going to cry. That was like so insane. But that feels good to process. That's why I got a divorce. There's like the story of it all. Subscribe for more. I'm going to get into my birth story and everything shortly, but there it is. As you saw, I made some buttercream. I was supposed to start on some cookies, but it's the middle of the night. My mom is coming tomorrow to help with my son, and I'm just going to do that order tomorrow because I need a break. I also cleaned the entire apartment and didn't even get home until like 8, and that was when we started bath time and bedtime. So I'm tired. I'm going to edit this. I still have taxes to do because my dad needs to take it to our CPA tomorrow. So I'm going to make some tea, get that going, and I'll see you in the next clip. Thank you for listening.
Oh, show me the chocolate.
And I got candy. I got candies in here.
And you got candies in there too?
Yes.
Wow.
Woo! And got that candy too.
I don't know. I don't think that's candy. I think that's a fun toy.
That's
Should we see how it works?
No. I see.
Is that a golden egg? Don't open it yet. You got to put it in the bag first. And then we'll open them all together.
Look.
Oh my gosh, look at the eggs. Did he leave those for you?
Wow.
There's another one. Wow.
Some great places.
I see it. There's a purple one.
Oh, there's a purple one right there.
I find it.
Oh my gosh.
Now let's put it in the back. I see it. Eggs.
Oh my gosh.
I eat the bunny and put all the eggs.
Hello, it is the 30th. I took a few days off of vlogging. I did some clips. We went up to Evergreen to see my parents, and my son did like a little Easter egg hunt since Easter is obviously tomorrow and he's with his dad on the weekends, but he still wanted to be able to celebrate even though, you know, I don't have him on the weekends anymore. Right now I'm headed up to Conifer to go hang out with one of my old friends. We have been longtime friends, and I'm just so excited that I'm gonna get some girl time. I just finally filmed a new episode of Healing My Inner Child, so that was very necessary, much needed. My anxiety has been excruciating the last few days, so that was good. It was a little journal with me sesh, so look forward to seeing that at the end of this week. I am gonna stop and get some snacks for this evening, our little girls' night in, so let's go.